Welcome to Interior Insights. I'm Jane, and today we are going to look at an amazing historical apartment of a lady that traveled all over the world to collect her furniture. This building is set in Hamburg and was built in 1896, which means that this apartment is over 100 years old. And you can really see this in the ceiling height, as well as in the beautiful molding that is still original and has been completely restored by the owner herself. And this is just really incredible. We enter right into the living room, and you can see that as soon as you enter, you feel right at home, and it is a really beautiful, almost magical place. And I think one of the reasons why it feels like this is because there's windows in all directions, and the windows kind of structure and frame a room that is otherwise a little bit wild and that has a lot of different elements in it. And at the same time, the furniture in the room doesn't overwhelm the space, but really you have one central furniture arrangement in the center, and there's a lot of space around all of the sides. And because of this, I think the room feels really harmonious and has a really nice structure. Of course, the white carpet really frames the living room and gives it another layer of comfort. The color palette in this room, if we have a closer look, it is kept from white to browns and beiges all the way up to red. So there's really like a lot of very warm colors have been used, and they really contrast all of the green nature outside. And what I really love about this place is that every single thing that you see here has an incredible story and is basically from another continent. So basically, this beautiful chandelier that we talked about before is from Mallorca, while this amazing bright red colored shelf is from China. So you can really see that if you try to design a place, you don't just have to go with pick one theme and just really stick to it, but your design can get really unique and tell your whole personal history. And what I think is really amazing about this apartment is the fact that it really tells the history and basically the complete life of the owner, because wherever she was traveling, she would always take something home. Because of this, every year by year, the home reflected more of who she was and her personality. I think this is really cool. These chairs were found in the streets of Hamburg, where this apartment lives. But for example, these chairs were found in Bali while the owner was living in Jimbaran. This beautiful printed blanket, for example, was found in Flores. You can't even begin to imagine where all of these beautiful elements came from. And this table, for example, is an antique from Syria. One of my favorite elements in this entire apartment are, without a doubt, definitely these beautiful lamps, because they just have a really nice sculptural structure. And I believe that they were found somewhere in Africa. And you can see that both of them are placed symmetrically to the window. And this is a really cool trick to add harmony and a sense of purpose in your design, is by just creating symmetry, even just not throughout the entire room, but just in small, certain settings. At the same time, the design is kind of elevated because you don't have the same lampshades, but you have the same color lampshades, but in different shapes. And this kind of really creates an unexpected situation. And I think that's what good design is all about. And of course, to pull the nature in, these beautiful vintage, old-fashioned floral curtains have been installed, and really traditional. They are held together by these strings, and this is really a heritage and a connection to the historical origin of this beautiful apartment. I would describe the overall style as a mix of classic and colonial elements, because really every single piece of furniture and piece of art here was sourced over the whole world. That's really cool. And also here we have a small seating area that's just really comfy and fun. And you can just really get lost in every single detail. Now we will go into the dining room. This is the more casual living room. And over there, we will go into the more formal dining room. It is connected, like all old buildings are, by gigantic big doors. And I think I've never actually seen doors that are this high. It's very beautiful. And here again, you see that the flow between one room to the next isn't interrupted, but that there's a lot of space, and the scenery that was created in the center of the room is repeated again here. Here we just have a beautiful casual table and 4 quite minimalistic chairs in comparison to everything else, and you can just really see that sometimes a little quiet moment is better, and not creating a lot of different maximalist moments in every single situation, but you want to mix it up and have here a really grand gesture, and here's something more quiet and pared down so that your guests can also relax. And of course, because the table and the lampshades are really pared down and white and minimalistic, a bright orange vase was added with just gorgeous lavender colored flowers. And this just adds a really cool and unique color palette. Oh, and over here we have Daisy. She is also part of this apartment. Hello, Daisy. She belongs to the design. You can see that her colors integrate perfectly into the design. And over here we have a bookshelf. The bookshelf just really structures and frames the side of the window and is more modern than the rest of the apartment, I would say. Oh, and if we have a look over here, we can see a really beautiful vintage mirror. I wonder where it came from. It's really unique. And of course, you have orchids or like flowers, greens, and like really floral elements to really brighten up the space and add some more life and some more lighthearted and soft elements to give it some more femininity. This is another thing I really like about this apartment, the fact that just everywhere you look in every direction you have a lot of flowers. That's just really beautiful. Now let's go into the bedrooms. So basically each of the bedrooms has their own name, and with the name comes a whole personal design based on the name. You feel like this is a little room in a castle. It's really beautiful. And everything really is very historic and antique, and you feel like you're living not now, but really like 100, 150 years old. Everything really speaks to the story. The bright yellow color is quite harmonious with these dark brown wardrobes that are really vintage and antique. And here you can see like little floral elements that make me suspect that this is also like from the period of Art Nouveau, which is very cool. And the floral elements are again repeated in the curtains. So this really creates a coherent design story. Other than that, you have like a very minimalistic but nice bed. The coolest thing, of course, is the view that you are just looking at beautiful classicistic buildings, and because you're on the second floor, you just really have this majestic view. And of course, outside we have a beautiful balcony that is also in the style of Art Nouveau. I believe this whole building is. And that just really finishes the story to the end. Here we go. You see, the metal frame of the balcony also has all of these floral shapes, as does the table. And over here you can see the beautiful view that you get to marvel at during your stay. Guess the name? You're right, it's Picasso. I think this is my favorite room by far, because I mean, for one, it's easier to make a more beautiful room if you just have more space, but I think the color palette here is more nuanced than the other rooms. If we have a closer look, you again have this beautiful sandy yellow color, but the color, the monochromatic or like kind of faded out color style is really broken up by these bright green mint chairs, and I love it. That's really, really cool. I think without these chairs, the design would feel like it lacks something, or like it kind of had fallen asleep, because you have all of this like vintage furniture that is very old and beautiful and has a lot of history. But these chairs just really add like an unexpected element to it. And I think this is really something we can learn from this beautiful apartment, that creating little elements of unexpected design, as Kelly Worcester says, is the way to go. And of course, here we have the painting of why it's called Van Gogh. I don't think I need to explain that. And a funny story actually about these beautiful crystal chandeliers, sconces, I don't know what to call them, that are mounted symmetrically to the wall, were actually found in Vienna. And the owner, the woman, she actually found them online, and yeah, it's the end of the story. Yeah, basically these chandeliers cost 20 euros, but you had to pick them up, and she offered the Austrian guys 120 euros if they ship it to Germany, and they did. And it was a success story. And we can try to turn it on, have a look at the light. Ooh, beautiful. Some people don't like these types of chandeliers because they feel like you are looking directly at the light bulb, and the light bulb isn't exposed. Like, it is exposed, but I think it's quite beautiful. You just need to be careful that you don't look inside the light directly, which I did. And here we have another unexpected element, that a tray was used as a bedside table. And I think this really creates a unique experience and a unique stay that you will remember forever. Another really cool and interesting and unique story about this painting is that This painting was bought like 20 years ago or something, and at some reason, like completely separated from the fact that it was bought somewhere, a woman stayed here, and when she came inside this room, she was like, "Oh, I painted this." So basically, without any connection, the owner decided to spend a night here. And the painting and the painter met yet again. So this kitchen dates back to when this apartment was built in 1896, and the tiles, the blue and white tiles, are still original and are still from this time. And I think that that's just incredible, the fact that they've survived all of this time. And the coolest thing about this kitchen is right next to me. Woo! So this is basically the light switch, and I think this is quite cool. The kitchen is really the heart of the home, as in every home. You can really see this because here all of the like beautiful, like representative seating areas and everything are completely gone. But here you really just have a simple kitchen. You have the necessities, what you need, so that every guest who comes here can just make himself a coffee. And you feel right at home, and you don't have this like fear that the place is too beautiful or too perfect and that you're not allowed to touch it. And another small seating area where you can like get to drink your coffee in the morning. Sit, have a nice time. I hope you liked the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe now, and see you next week.